it's very easy to go and make changes to an existing design. In that case, I go to Junctions, go and select Edit Junction, and then click on the existing junction. Looking at the left curve, you can see Civil Designer indicates the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Another very useful diagram is this one over here. As you go and specify the different options, Civil Designer changes this diagram, explaining what curve information is required, and in that case it goes and makes these two cells active. If I choose to rather go and put in a taper value, the diagram again goes and updates, and the required taper values become active. If you're not quite sure what the taper value could be used for, here's a good idea where you go and put in slip lanes. Then you've got your center radius, which is this one over here, and then you've got your lead out information, and that's going back into the main road. Again, as you go and make changes to that information, the preview as well as the updated diagram will be indicated. Switching that off, I'm going to go and make that 15. Then further down the list, when you go and put in your bow mouth vertical gradient, and I'll show you this after our design, where you go and see the vertical alignment of the bow mouth, you can go and specify whether you want to use a linear or S-curve. In addition to these two options, if you go and pick up your bow mouth from CAD, you'll have a third option here to pick up from your CAD entities. I'm going to go and select the linear option, and then I'll also go and apply curb. Civil Designer has a whole library of curbs to go and choose from. We've got the Vanstone, we've got the British Standards, we've got the SABS. If you want to go and create your own curbs, you can do so. Alternatively, you can go and edit an existing curb, go and make changes to the dimensions, and then go and save it. Civil Designer will also work out the quantities and the unit lengths of your curbs. Your bow mouth dimensions will be placed at the face position of your curbs. If you choose to put in a divider island, you have the option of specifying your own island settings, or you can pick it up from CAD. In my next example, I'll pick it up from CAD. In this example, we'll go and specify which island settings to use. The diagram indicates what the values represent, and if you need to make changes, it's very easy to do so. Moving on to the right curve. As mentioned before, if you've got everything in CAD, you can pick it up from your CAD entities. So let's do so in this case. I'm going to pick up my bow mouth information from the CAD entities, and I'm going to go and indicate the CAD entity. Nice thing about this function is if you don't have the CAD entity on yet, you can always go to your CAD layers and turn them on. I'm turning on layers here that I'll utilize for not only design purposes but also for explanation purposes. Right, so I'm going to click on Indicate again. I'm hoping you can see that red arc there I'm going to use for my bow mouth design. Go close by, left click, it's highlighted, I know it's the correct one. If I've made a mistake, I can go and right click and redefine it. If I've got more than one CAD entity, I can select multiple CAD entities. In this case, I'm happy with what I've selected. I select Extract String. As far as my divider island is concerned, again, I'm going to go and pick up that information from my CAD entities. Click on Indicate Polyline. Just take in note that your two roads are transparent, so it's easy to see which CAD entity to use. Select it, it's highlighted. Again, I'm using a linear vertical gradient for the right hand side. If need be, you can go and change your curb type for your islands. Clicking on Center Island. If you don't have your divider islands, you can go and specify a center island, and in a similar manner you can pick it up from your CAD entities. Looking at the layout information, I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail here so you understand what is used in the design process. Looking at the LC point, I've gone and put in a CAD layer here indicating your LC point. When you do your junction or intersection design, you're standing over here where the eye position is, and everything left and right is measured from that position. This would be the left-hand side where my cursor is positioned. That position would have these coordinates over here. It's also at a chainage 335. So I've extended the line there to give you an indication of the chainage 335. If you prefer to use a different chainage value, you can make changes to it and make it fixed. That is the first point. Looking at the second point, main road right of intersection, we're looking at this point over here. Intersection point on main road would be where these two lines intersect, and then the last point is a point along the intersecting road. At this point, Civil Designer knows, according to the design files, what the width is left. Remember, you're standing from this position, so we're looking at left. It knows what the grade is, and from that we are able to interpolate an elevation point over there. And that applies to this LC point over here on the main road. Civil Designer will use the existing longitudinal grades of the main and intersecting roads. It will then split the bow mouth into segments, and from that elevations are interpolated along the bow mouth. Remember, these are design tools that Civil Designer gives you. Utilizing these design tools, you need to ensure that there is sufficient slope along the bow mouths, and I'll show you how this can be achieved. And to finish off with, you can apply S-curve or the linear curve grading along the entire junction. That would include your taper values and additional curve information, or you can apply it just along the center curves only. All of this junction information can be saved or saved as something and then loaded at a later stage, and I will use that method to put in this junction design over here. Clicking on OK, specifying where I want to see the results, click on OK again, and our junction is updated. You'll note that there were no regions that needed to be defined. I didn't need to remove any curbs along the intersection, as Civil Designer automatically did that for me. And again, if I want to go and turn on contours and slope, I can do like I did before. I don't have to go and create additional surfaces. And I don't need to go and make changes to my contours or my triangulation information.